Waking Up to Serenity, Unlocking the Door to Emotional Sobriety by Angelo. Chapter 2, Emotional Sobriety. Before we delve into an explanation of spirituality, we should first take a more detailed look at what we actually mean by emotional sobriety. Below is an extract from an article written by Bill Wilson entitled The Next Frontier, Emotional Sobriety, and published in Grapevine in January 1958. Quote, I think that many oldsters who have put our AA booze cure to severe but successful tests still find that they often lack emotional sobriety. Perhaps they will be the spearhead for the next major development in AA, the development of much more maturity and balance, which is to say humility, with ourselves, with our fellows, and with God. Those adolescent urges that so many of us have for top approval, perfect security, and perfect romance, urges quite appropriate for age 17, prove to be an impossible way of life when we are aged 47 or 57. Since AA began, I've taken immense wallops in all these areas because of my failure to grow up emotionally and spiritually. My God, how painful it is to keep demanding the impossible, and how very painful to discover finally that all along we have had the cart before the horse. Then comes the final agony of seeing how awfully wrong we have been, but still finding ourselves unable to get off the emotional merry-go-round. Close quote. The Oxford English Dictionary defines emotion as a strong feeling, such as joy or anger, and secondly as instinctive feeling, as distinguished from logic or reasoning. Likewise, the definition of emotional is firstly relating to the emotions, secondly showing intense feeling, and thirdly readily showing emotion. Bill Wilson is equating emotional sobriety with humility, or the state of being humble. This is a key spiritual principle, as we shall see later. Our emotions are natural and can create powerful urges, but with spiritual maturity we should find that these urges become less compulsive. There's no suggestion that emotional sobriety should mean that we have no emotions. All emotions are an important part of our psyche, but they don't have to dominate. Another way of looking at the subject of emotion is to see it as energy in motion, which of course it is. All emotions are movements of energy in our minds and bodies. They seem to happen without provocation, but in truth our emotions arise as a result of our thinking. Often our reactions result from subconscious ideas or beliefs. For example, we may be fearful without consciously knowing why or what we are fearful about. The fear seems real, but the cause may not be real at all. If we are to achieve maturity and balance in our emotional lives, then any solution will have to penetrate and heal at the very core of our being. Emotions are necessary and purposeful. Rather than seeing negative emotions as feelings to be endured, resisted, or suppressed, they can instead be seen as metaphorical warning lights on the dashboard of our minds. Quoting Bill Wilson again, this time from 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 92, quote, "It is a spiritual axiom that every time we are hurt, no matter what the cause, there is something wrong with us." Close quote. The word axiom is defined as a statement regarded as obviously true. So we should take this statement seriously. It's being suggested that if we are experiencing negative emotions, then there is something wrong with us. This does not mean that we're faulty or bad, but rather that we are reacting from a non-spiritual perspective. Notice that this is true whatever the external cause may be. Generally, if we feel bad, then the tendency is to blame others or look outside of ourselves for a solution. Rather than acknowledge the warning light on our dashboard, we try to cover it up or remove the bulb to stop it flashing. If we want to grow towards emotional sobriety, then we need to start being more honest about our emotions and engage in practices that will heal us. If we deny our own feelings, then we're unlikely to make any meaningful progress. We can use our emotions to fuel our spiritual progress. We need to turn our attention away from how we feel personally and to focus instead on our spiritual well-being. This is what Bill Wilson means when he refers to having the cart before the horse. If the cart is the content of our personal lives and the horse is the driving force, then we've been focusing all of our time and effort on the cart rather than the horse. Little wonder that we're not making much progress. If we want to move towards emotional sobriety, then we need to turn our attention to nourishing the horse. First though, let's take a closer look at the cart and try to understand what the problem is.